Welcome to Inside the Force. I'm Greg Grunberg, a.k.a. Snap Wexley.
It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham, and here with me, Casey Cooley.
Hello everybody.
Welcome back as we finish up the month of June.
Yeah.
We're halfway through 2018. Crazy.
Time needs to go faster to get to the next Star Wars movie.
Yeah. So we're a year and a half.
Year and a half, man. Gosh.
Year and a half.
Just so spoiled. It's like a year and then 6 months. Now we're a year and a half. Come on.
Yeah. And we can talk about a little bit of that reason. We're going to talk about a little bit too. But this month, before we get into news, just kind of summarizing a little about what we did, and then what we're going to do this episode is, we kicked off this month reviewing Solo, because Solo came out Memorial Weekend. I actually saw it again this past weekend, my third time, and actually the first time really just sitting down and really watching it. You know what I mean? Like the first viewing is always the first viewing, right?
Right.
It's so much happening. Second viewing was with my daughter, and we went to a movie tavern, so there was a lot of like ordering food and stuff like that. So, but this time just locked in, watched it. So anyway, we did our review to start off, and then the second episode of this month, we kind of addressed the hate that's kind of encompassing the fandom, and we'll talk a little bit more about that this episode, because I feel like it's kind of gotten under control a little bit, but maybe that's debatable. And then last week, Casey wasn't able to be on the show, so I got our longtime buddy Matt Rainey on the show.
Yeah.
Actually, for the first time.
Was it?
That was the first.
I looked
back.
Been on something.
I looked back. I could not find his name in any of our descriptions.
Wow.
We've done the 21 podcast.
I guess that's what it was
with him.
I feel like I could have sworn it's like just us three talking about something. I thought.
Maybe on the 21 podcast, I guess.
It's the Mandela effect.
I get, yes.
It happened in an alternate world.
Because I was even, while we were talking, I'm like, you had to have been on this show before, right? And he's like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, I don't know. So anyway, our buddy Matt Rainey, who I'm sure we'll bring on, if you want to talk about or listen to a healthy Star Wars debate,
yeah,
that's what we had, because he has some really strong feelings about the direction and the films that have come out, and I have conflicting, although some parts we agree, but he's a lot more critical than I am, and I think you are of certain things, certain storytelling. He's a storyteller himself, so but there's a lot of rules that he goes by that I don't believe in, stuff like that. So anyway, we talked for about an hour and 20 minutes, and it's a really good. In fact, we kind of got to the point where we had to stop, or else we would have just kept going and going. So go check that out. So this episode, as we finish up this month, really want to focus on a lot of the little news and rumors that we're going to talk about here in a second, but really about finally, me and Casey kind of talking about our favorite things about the stuff that's come out, especially in the Disney era, but really addressing some of these other issues with Solo. So, Case, what's happening this past week?
Well, official kind of things. Target put out there what just a little details about the Blu-ray version of Solo, the Blu-ray release of Solo. There's no date or anything like that, or not too many details about it. They just you can go on Target, probably search for Solo, and you can see at least what the packaging will look like, and some of what comes with the packaging. So you get, I think, a few discs. You get the it's a 4K bundle essentially. So you get your Blu-ray, the 4K version, and the bonus feature disc as well. And looks like from the picture, get a lot of artwork, which I think was also a part of the Last Jedi packaging. Trying to enlarge the image here, but it looks like you get a little jacket within the packaging there, showing you some concept art and some storyboards and all that stuff of throughout the movie. And the artwork on the discs look really cool. And then you have different little books and different little components that make up this packaging, and it looks really awesome. I mean, the main cover, I'm gonna guess, is like one of those little plastic, flimsy kind of sheaths in a way. Those like sleeves that you kind of slip down, and then reveals the book, which has a kind of an artistic rendering of Solo of Han Solo, with the Falcon's basically a book, and then you open it and you get the discs, and you get sheets within that show the artwork throughout the movie. So it looks pretty cool. No price that I can see here, and again, no date, but I'm sure it'll be in a month, maybe. Who knows, a month or two, because of how it is performing. Although it's not, my opinion, which I feel like is a fact, it's not a disappointment in the box office. But, whose standard are you weighing that against? I don't know. My standard, it's not a disappointment. But
Right.
Anywho, we'll probably be getting that information here soon about when that will be released. But other than that, there's nothing official in terms of other movies or anything like that. Episode 9, it's really quiet. A lot of rumors right now, actually, about
Lots of rumors.
cameos and whatnot. A lot of rumors with the other standalone films. There's quite a hoopla on the internet this past week or so about the fate of the standalone movies. So that's something we could talk about, but nothing official with that. I don't recall, or even the TV shows. Everything's really very quiet right now.
Yeah. One bit of news I read today, late in the day, San Diego Comic-Con, they are having a 10th anniversary panel for the Clone Wars.
Oh, that's what I thought. I saw a headline like that today.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
cool.
Dave Filoni tweeted out, like, happy anniversary, and can't wait for... I'm praying that they announce some new material from the Clone Wars, but...
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah,
Yes.
like a 10th anniversary kind of special somehow.
Yes. Like they finished those episodes that were...
Oh yeah, we just there you go. The whole season.
The whole season. Here we
Yeah.
go. No, I mean, I hope it's comics, books, anything.
Yeah.
I hope they.
Yeah.
I hope they continue that story somehow, but probably not. Probably just wishful thinking.
Could be movies now. Heck, I think
Yeah, I
there's no
agree.
limits anymore.
That's true.
No, I think you can do anything you want. Make your Ahsoka movie.
Why couldn't you?
know.
Why wouldn't you do
Put it- or put
another thing on the streaming service?
I was about to say a streaming service, because that's one of the kind of the rumors and editorials that are popping up, or fans are speculating, like like Obi-Wan movie could be on
Yes.
streaming. Maybe not, but that would be totally cool. You could totally do that.
Could totally do that.
Even animated movies.
Yes, totally. I'm all for
Doesn't have to be
animated
live
movies. Yeah, no. So that's a big. I wish I could see that. I mean,
Yeah.
people were asking, "Oh, they gonna stream it? Are they gonna stream it?" And they're
Yeah.
like, "Nah, not gonna stream it." So, we'll get the news. I'm sure that weekend of Comic-Con, which is in July. Awesome San Diego Comic-Con cover art.
I haven't seen this.
The Thrawn thing.
Oh, that was San Diego. Oh, okay.
That's
I
for
thought
the
was
that's for the San Diego Comic-Con edition.
Oh,
of,
okay. I just thought it was just
Oh.
something released.
No, so
Okay.
Thrawn Alliances,
Yeah.
which is coming out. I guess that's coming out that week. I think it's July 12th or something like that. That's might be the week of Comic-Con. I can't remember what Comic-Con is, but the cover, the first cover they released was the white Thrawn with Vader.
Yeah.
This one looks like it's the Clone Wars Thrawn
Yeah.
because it's Clone Wars Anakin,
Yeah.
which is so cool because it's Hayden Christensen, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you really look, he's got the armor on.
Like the Clone War armor.
Like the Clone War
Yeah.
armor, which is
That's pretty cool.
crazy because you never saw that obviously on him. So, I mean, people are going crazy over that image. I love it.
It's pretty awesome.
It is so awesome. I couldn't stop watching it, looking at it. It was pretty awesome. Just the fact that because in the first book, you remember there's that discussion about them crossing paths, and I think there is a little bit of a conversation. I can't remember, but
Yeah, it briefly came up in the book.
very briefly. But so this is obviously probably we
More of that.
maybe get the scene or get an understanding of their history.
I think it'll still be a flashback when we see young Anakin, unless the first part of the book deals with that era. I don't know, but from my understanding, the main plot of the story is set within that. Between season 3 and 4 of Rebels, I think is what it is. With Vader and Thrawn, I think it's right between before the last season of Rebels.
Okay.
I think it's like right there.
Yes, because that's what explains why he's not really around.
So, I would love it if we had like a prologue, not just a flashback, but like a prologue of young Anakin and Thrawn kind of fighting, separatists or something like that. That would be cool.
That would be really cool. And then a little shout out to. I wanted to mention a little shout out to the Star Wars show. Mm-hmm. They released their 100th episode last week. Yeah. So kudos to them. Good. Really kind of weird. I don't know if you watched it.
I haven't watched it, actually.
It's like kind of
some clips of it, but
there's a little dance number in there, and it's It's funny because they had the they all made fun of and sported the red Millennium Falcon T-shirt. You remember that from I think Target or something like that? Yeah. So they did a thing. They did a little skit where they all wore it because it's like not everybody has this shirt, but everybody has that shirt. Do you remember? Because you were at I think you were at Celebration at Chad. I think it was Celebration 5 or 6.
Oh yeah,
you remember?
Yeah, we saw it.
Chad, everybody. Everybody had it there. Like exactly. Chad wore it.
I think he even thought like, I haven't seen anybody wear this shirt. And
we counted like
counted
20 people like in the convention that had that shirt.
Yeah,
that was hilarious. So that's what made me laugh watching it. I was like, oh my gosh, because it's been like that was like 5 years ago.
So it's like a known. It's like a known thing.
It's a known thing.
It's like everybody thinks they have. They're the only person to have that.
Yeah, no one has this shirt, but everybody has that shirt. I have that shirt.
Yeah, I've got it since that celebration. Yeah, I've definitely got it.
Yeah. Yeah, so some of the rumors that you were mentioning, I don't know how much, you really kind of dive into that kind of stuff.
Well, it's interesting because I think it was Collider that initially reported the whole thing with the standalones. And Collider's very reputable. So whether or not there were conversations about the fate of the standalones, that probably happened. And maybe they did kind of have that talk of like, should we change course with this or not? Or maybe... I think I talked to Cody about this, but he kind of raised the point. What if it's like not necessarily? They're just going to call them something different. They're not Star Wars stories. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're just simply one-offs because they're Star Wars stories. To me, they're called spin-offs or whatever when compared to the saga films. Mm-hmm. And to me, there's not going to be any more saga films, right? There's not going to be a 10, 11, 12, probably. I don't know.
No,
who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
So maybe that's the conversations they're having is that they are ending the Skywalker saga. So therefore, all future Star Wars movies are
just Star Wars movies.
Yeah, Star Wars spin-offs, whatever. They're just one-offs and their own trilogies, their own series of films. So it could just be kind of taken out of context or misinterpreted from a certain point of view, about standalones are ending, but they're really just becoming something else. They're just shifting their packaging of sorts. So,
yeah, I think
but Disney said they're not doing it. They're still planning movies.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think even though I don't feel like they're getting any pushback really or fan, whatever. No one's talking ill of them, Collider, that is, because I feel like they jumped on a story that obviously wasn't confirmed, but they felt like they kind of made it sound like they had inside sources.
Yeah, they heard like all these rumors.
Yeah,
they heard all
that
this
it was
stuff.
pretty enough to make them exclusively say, "Hey, we got the first scoop that they're canceling the Star Wars stories," and I feel like that has been pretty much put aside, put to bed, that's not the case.
Right.
one thing I read that they think that somebody said that they think they got the story from was that the studio in London that they usually Pinewood that they usually shoot at was actually being reserved apparently under the name Mos Eisley, which was again another rumor that that's possibly another Star Wars story based on
That's right.
the Mos Eisley stuff, right? Did you read that?
Yeah.
Well, then right before they announced that that rumor or that exclusive scoop was that Lucasfilm. So they had the studio rented for a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. Well, apparently they canceled that reservation for the studio part. Therefore, that led to they're canceling making these Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
But that could be it could have just prolonged, delayed it, whatever. Sure. But not shortly before that, Tom Kane was quoted, and we talked about on the show that he even somewhat confirmed, there's 9 movies in development right now. 9, meaning that Episode 9, Ryan Johnson's 3, the Game of Thrones guys is 3, and then Boba Fett and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
That's 9 movies, right? So I think anything beyond that, I think that's kind of what is now on hold. I mean, they don't know what they're going to do beyond that, but they got 9 movies that they got to worry about right now. So, I mean,
9 years,
9 years of films, basically. Yeah. So it's like, I look. I think we've always said that unless Lucasfilm confirms it's never real. I mean, unless they announce it, it's nothing. And even when they do, I mean, a director changes or something, So, but it's like, you just can't. Look, I don't know. Well, I feel like we talk about a lot of. We'll speculate on rumors and stuff like that, but we definitely want to really put the emphasis on things that are confirmed.
Yeah.
So there's no confirmation of anything. There's not even confirmation of Obi-Wan movie. Technically, there's not a confirmation of because that what was it? Variety that broke the Boba Fett thing or Hollywood Reporter or something. One of those.
I can't remember, but that was almost confirmed without being confirmed in a way.
Yeah. Well, Lucasfilm has never confirmed it yet.
Yeah.
So is that even really? I don't.
That was supposedly the Josh Trank movie, which now is being moved to someone else potentially.
James Mangold.
That's right. James Mangold.
Rumored right now, or reported to be writing, directing that. It's like, but he hasn't even come out and said that.
Yeah.
It's like. And then the latest rumor is Obi-Wan. We talked about today popping up in Episode 9. Mm-hmm. It's like Ewan McGregor is rumored to be shooting a secret scene later this year. It's like, okay. This whole time he's been rumored to be in his own movie, and then all of a sudden it's Episode 9. Because that's the thing, is that rumors obviously start because you possibly hear something and take it into another, direction.
Yeah.
So this whole time, again, rumors or sources that are seeing Ewan McGregor walk around Lucasfilm or, it's like
having lunch with somebody.
Could have been this whole time about an Episode 9 cameo.
Yeah.
And not a movie, an Obi-Wan movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean...
I feel like a good plan would be to have him in 9 to kind of reintroduce him to everybody, and then could do his movie. Maybe that could be a plan, but who knows?
Or streaming service, series.
Yeah,
because Ewan McGregor does TV. He just did Fargo.
Yeah,
so he's.
I've always wanted there to be a Netflix Obi-Wan movie, but now
I know, right?
Disney streaming service is perfect. Like, come on.
So all these, all this time. When you hear that kind of stuff, it's just like it's fun to speculate, it's fun to hope, but until it's because that's the thing too is like you said, when you see Obi-Wan, you see Ewan McGregor sitting down talking to Kathleen Kennedy at lunch. It's like, okay, oh god, that's great, but there's you can't forget. There's a lot of lawyers involved. Yeah. There's a lot of contracts involved. Nothing is set in stone just because they sit down and talk or, what I mean? It's like Hollywood is there's so many rules, people's schedules. It's just, it's hard to navigate that kind of stuff. So anyway, we'll keep hoping for an Obi-Wan something.
I would have already thought we would have heard something by now, officially, what the next Star Wars story is. So I don't know what they're waiting on right now. Until the Blu-ray release, maybe?
Maybe, I think Solo, I think Solo, which we can talk about now, is like, I think it was I agree with you. It's hard to, it really is hard. I don't think you can simply say, based on money, whether or not a film was a disappointment or not. Mm. Yes, it didn't make the same amount of money Rogue One made or Last Jedi. And of course, it didn't make anything near The Force Awakens. But it still did, like I think I read, it's still the 5th highest grossing movie this year. Mm-hmm. And people think it's a disappointment. I mean, a ton of movies
we're in June.
Aren't the 5th.
Yeah, we're in June now. So
yeah, halfway through the year, and it's the 5th highest. Now, granted, I would guess Ant-Man will probably surpass it. Maybe. Maybe.
Jurassic World, we'll see how that does.
I think that already did because it was 4th, and then Jurassic World bumped it down to 5th. I don't know. I can't remember what other big movies are coming out. I think Fantastic Beasts is coming out later this year, and then Aquaman, which I don't know if Aquaman is going to do that well or not. It's getting a lot of praise right now for test screenings, but anyway, so it could end up. More than likely, it'll still be in the top 10 this year.
Yeah.
So is that a success? Again, I think it's hard for me to figure out based on what I see in the box office compared to what I read on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Because everybody I read loves this movie.
Yeah.
And I still see it. I even saw it today. Saw Solo for the first time.
Yeah.
What have you been waiting for?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where you're at with. You said what you're at, but I think just to summarize the box office right now, as of today, we're at 354 million worldwide. Unfortunately, what's crazy is that the foreign markets, this is not doing well in the foreign markets.
Strange. That is strange.
Because it did 200 million here, which is okay. I mean, it's good. That's good money. But usually you're getting double that overseas. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's only doing 151 million overseas, I just can't. I don't know what that is. So, but again, I saw it this weekend. I got to say, it definitely is in my top 3. Yeah. It's definitely in my top 3. I think I would. I still think Empire is my favorite movie. Right. But when I look at Rogue One and Solo, I look at those movies, and right now, I don't know which one I'm putting in first.
Yeah.
They're so different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very different.
Solo is just one that Solo, I feel like, is truly one that I can just watch over and over again.
Absolutely.
Rogue One, I actually feel like I need to be a little more invested.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, because I've tried that, putting Rogue One on the background, because it's on Netflix now. And
okay.
But I'll if I'm walking out of the room, I kind of want to pause it.
Yes.
So I don't miss anything. But I could see, whenever Solo comes out, just playing that on and having it on in the background.
And that's a good point, because Rogue One, that's what I mean by that. I have to sit there and pay attention. I really want to, because there's so many good performances in that movie. And with Solo, I can throw it in and get on Twitter or something like that while it's going on and just listen to it and watch it. What I really paid attention most about this time around was I paid attention a little bit more to Kira, because I feel like Kira is getting a little bit of some negativity online that her character is kind of irrelevant, and that Emilia Clarke really wasn't that good in it. But I really thought that their chemistry was really good.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that.
And I really think that one thing, I will point out a couple of things that I noticed if I nitpick the movie. You know, for one, I didn't realize. I told you about this today. Needles.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to think
Easter
like,
egg.
wait a minute, is that? But he's not connected to Back to the Future, really, right? Ron Howard. I mean,
don't know.
Kind of through the back channels, I guess. He knows Spielberg, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
that's
but
the only thing. Like Kathleen Kennedy, did she produce those movies? Maybe
she produced Back to the Future. She did.
Yeah,
actually,
so
you're right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
who threw that in there, or maybe that's a Lord and Miller reference. I don't know, or a Ron Howard reference. I don't know if that's been told or not.
So what I'm talking about is that when they're escaping or when they first enter the mall, right, or the Kessel,
yeah, they're getting right into it there. Yeah,
and they're getting trailed by the TIE fighters, and the last one, he's like, "All right, Chewie, lower the landing gear." I learned this trick from my buddy Needles, who's a street racer on Corellia, and Needles was the name of the street racer in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
That causes him to wreck into the Rolls Royce, right? So anyway, I thought right when I heard that, because the first time I heard him say Needles, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's got to be a Back to the Future reference." Anyway, I thought the first time he sees Kira on Dryden's ship or bar or whatever
the
yacht,
yeah.
So when he's talking to her, I think his revelation of her was fantastic. I think it was a great reaction. But they started off that conversation like, I was coming for you. I was getting the ship. I was coming for you. And she's like, well, I'm right. And then it's like, I don't know if you noticed it, but like all of a sudden it's the line from the movie, from the trailer. Like,
I always
you look good.
Yeah. I always noticed that.
So I feel like there was a reshoot there.
Reshoot, or there's a deleted scene there.
Yes,
that's the only thing I could think of. But
some lines in between there.
To me, it was like it's just such a hard audio cut. To me,
it is
like the
plus
way
and a change in her tone.
Yeah, exactly. The way her pitch, her cadence, is a dramatic change there. It doesn't flow quite right. Not a lot of continuity in like how she's talking. So. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like reshoot or deleted scene.
Yeah, because they were such in a good moment there, reflecting and talking, and all of a sudden she just changed it right away, and then they start walking. I'm like, that didn't something missing there or something reshot there. So that was there, but of course it didn't change anything. But I did notice that, and then of course. I still wanted, even though I love him in the movie, I still wanted more Chewbacca. Mm-hmm. I wanted more interaction with him.
Yeah.
I felt like he was. I noticed he was just in the background a little too much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Just like he was in the saga movies. Mm-hmm. He was still there. I wanted him more forward. And I still my favorite part of the movie is still when he gets into the co-pilot.
Yeah,
like that's so awesome. The music's perfect. And then I think the only thing truly that I would change about the movie, and I know that it had to have been budget restrictions. I really truly believe it was budget restrictions, but I would have done Maul in person versus in a hologram. Mm-hmm. I just think that would have been way more impactful. I think fans would have really appreciated it. Mm-hmm. It probably still would have confused people.
Yeah.
But basically when Han leaves and instead of Kira, going and getting the ring and summoning him, I felt like as the Beckett, he leaves, she kind of contemplates, you kind of see her walking around. He goes, I feel like she leaves then. Mm-hmm. And then you do the Beckett thing. Mm-hmm. And then she shows up on Dathomir.
That would have been cool.
And, maybe she's got a couple of those minions, and he turns the saber on and chops him down because he's mad. You know what I mean? To me, that would have been, and that, because when he turns the saber on, it's like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, a lot of people hated on that. I mean, I can see why like they try to amp up the intensity.
Yes.
And he can. It's kind of like, to me, it's like an intimidation factor, like showing the weapon. It's like, hey, I mean business. Like, here's my weapon. This is how I just force pulled it.
Yes.
That's how powerful I am. So you should fear me, kind of a thing. That's how I see it. But yeah, it was.
She's like, well,
whatever.
I could just take this ship wherever I want. Then I mean, it should be on the run, but still, it's like,
well, that's why I'm so interested in her. Is that whatever her backstory is, like she is in just incredible fear of. She lives in fear, like 100%. So yeah, she can't just even Han Solo can't pull her away. She has to. She feels like she's stuck here, that's interesting to me.
That's true, and. And then the other thing is I paid attention really to because I listened to an episode of Full of Sith, and one of the guys on there, I think it was Brian Young, that he mentioned how or it might have been the other guy, I can't remember, but they talked about how their perception of Han kind of changed now for them when they watch A New Hope.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I listened to this episode.
Because in A New Hope, Han is, and actually me and Rainey talked about this last week. Han in A New Hope, if you never know anything about him, when you only watch that movie, you at least, it's hard for me because I've seen it 100 times. But it's like if you see it for the first time, you get a sense that he is a outlaw or a scoundrel, and he's out for himself. And his arc is really, seeing what he can do for the galaxy, and then he comes, he leaves and then comes back and helps destroy the Death Star, right? So they were talking about how that perception has changed now. Now that that he has willingly helped the rebellion by going against that, and she's talking about him being the good guy. That changes how he's viewed in A New Hope. I don't buy that, but I don't know if you do or not.
I definitely think that there's more story to tell that needs. That's the one thing, is I don't think Han Solo ended his arc in this movie as a real just a cold guy. That's always the impression we were kind of given at the beginning of A New Hope. He's just, like you said, a cold scoundrel who doesn't really care about anybody but himself. Whereas I feel like at the end of Solo, you got some of that based on what kind of Beckett was kind of teaching him. Look after yourself. Assume everybody's going to turn on you, kind of a thing. But you still, at the very end, I didn't get the impression that he was 100% this kind of like cold-hearted scoundrel. I think there needs to be more. I think he needs to suffer more to put him into that place. Like, it doesn't seem like Kira leaving really did that much to him. I don't know. Because again, it ended on a happy note, which is great. Of course, I still love it. But it ended with him like, oh, I'm gonna help these band of rebels. I'm gonna do this and this, but that's why I hope that they're just holding back for sequels and to really push him further into that kind of that path, because that's what was missing. I think that's one of the big things that was missing for me. So I don't to me that I don't buy it. That changed my perspective of him in A New Hope. I just feel like that there's just more to tell.
Yeah, I agree. Because I don't think it hasn't definitely changed mine. And it's not like, a couple months later, A New Hope happens. I mean, there's still 10 years.
Yes, exactly.
There's, like you said, there's other things that could happen to him to make him. But in the end, to me, it's almost the same. It almost reflects what he did in this movie, what he does in A New Hope. Because if you think about it, he helps them, but he still walks away.
He doesn't want to become a part of them, really. Yeah.
I mean, she even says, come with us, help us. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Just like Luke saying, "What? You're just leaving? You're just taking your money and running?" He's like, "Yeah." I mean, that's what he's done. He helped Leia get there, but he's out. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's the same. That's the same character.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So, but the fact that he comes back in that, he's then overcome. Become committed to the cause, the rebellion. Whereas 10 years ago, he wasn't ready to do that. And he led that life of crime and smuggling for Jabba. So I don't know. To me, they actually did a really good job setting up what he does in A New Hope. Because it makes sense when he's like, when he walks away, because you're like, yeah, he walked away 10 years ago when this thing just was starting,
Yeah.
So
I think I was listening to, also, I'm pretty sure it was Full Sith, because they brought up a good point where there's another thing that happens in Solo, which makes you kind of draw a connection to the sequel trilogy, where people wonder why Han Solo and how Ben Solo fell, and why Han wasn't that good of a father, and like what really happened there, really. And I think you do get a glimpse of that in last shot of Han Solo's conflict of being a father. But
yes,
all that starts now that we know in the Solo film, where they talk about his father.
That's right.
Like how he didn't have a good relationship with his father.
Yes.
And so, like, just that little nugget is a great context and a great justification for, one, him not being there 100% for Ben and causing a rift between them two, and which kind of helps push Ben away because he never had a good father there to support and love him. So that, to me, is, I mean, it's great. I love that thread that they start and they carry over, retroactively in this case, but like there's a story thread there and there's an arc there in a way of Han Solo's ability to become a father and in a way failing that journey. So love
that's a good point. And you actually made me remember because I'm in the middle of Most Wanted right now.
Yeah.
And there was a chapter where Kira and him had this conversation about his father,
Okay.
and a little bit more in depth. And it's funny because he tells a story about his father. I'm somewhat spoiling. I'm not spoiling the book, but this is just a conversation they had. But anyway, they had a conversation. He tells a story, and she kind of looks at him and says, that's not true, is it?" And he basically admits, no, it's not true. Mm-hmm. And then he tells another story that's more, it sounds more like it's because it talks about his father building ships and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think, again, it was just the last chapter. I think, I think he's kind of like, I kind of thought of the Joker.
Oh.
Where he just has all these stories and you don't know which one is real. Mm-hmm. He's like, so I'm not sure if his father was even in his life at all. I can't really even determine that. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, the Joker talking about his wife, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like he tells these different stories because he doesn't believe or want to know, none of them are true, or maybe they're all true, or I don't know. It's just, so I'm still trying to learn that. I feel like they're going to talk about more about his father in the book. But
that's cool. Okay.
So anyway, I agree with you. He definitely doesn't have a father. At this point, he doesn't either, and he's been on his own for forever. So, but don't you think if he does have a father, I guess if he would have a last name, I'm guessing, wouldn't he?
I mean, it's Star Wars. I don't know. Man.
Yeah,
it's just, I guess. I don't know, but like that's a good distinction is though that he is technically a runaway. He's not an orphan. He's a runaway,
right?
Which I'm pretty sure previous canon was he was an orphan.
Yes, he was an orphan.
Right, so
he was taken up by
to
Stryker or somebody when he was really young.
Yeah.
And then in this canon he's run away on his own and in order to survive, basically he lives under the rule of Proxima. Now, and rewind back to the beginning of the movie, I do have a problem with the words.
Oh, their crawl. Yeah, their little crawl that they did.
Yeah, I wish those movies. Excuse me. I wish those movies didn't have them, like Rogue One, because again, really paying attention, everything that's said in the crawl there happens in that flashback scene. Basically, you get all of that information that they're under the Lady Proxima's rule. They're trying to get off planet. He's got aspirations to be a pilot. I mean, it's just whatever was in there happens, and you could even add more to it just by adding a couple more lines or something like that if you had to. But I wish it would have started with him revving up that thing, which was very
great.
awesome.
Yeah, great start. Yeah,
because basically that scene is the crawl, just like young Jin in Rogue One was the crawl kind of thing. So that's the only thing I remember thinking, watching that. But overall, man, I think great performances by Woody Harrelson too, and it's just overall it's just a very entertaining movie. I mean, it just doesn't slow down. I feel like every scene matters, and it just keeps building, and it's really good. So, unfortunately, I wanted to see it before it probably gets pulled. It's probably going to get pulled here soon.
Yeah.
And, but like you announced, pre-orders are up for the disc, so it should be out here soon. I don't know when. Who knows? Like you said. So I guess rumor-wise, that was we talked about the Obi-Wan thing. So other than that. So yeah, we'll finish up this month in this episode as we kind of close out this, the whole what they people call it, the Civil War that's going on social media now with haters and lovers of Star Wars. And I do feel like, because I've really been paying attention the past few weeks about it, and I do feel like it's lessened a little bit. And I think partially it is because, a lot of advocates of Star Wars have been truly like reporting these people, these sites, these Twitter accounts, these Facebook groups that are just, now they can easily open up another one, but at least you're putting effort into their
them do the work.
Their hate, right? Yeah, exactly. So, because I feel like it is working, and I never really paid attention. I don't know if you have. I never really paid attention to people that are, when you start seeing threads on Twitter, especially, and they're mentioning it, they're talking about it. Someone's mentioning something, and then comment, and then all of a sudden there's a comment that has, they don't have a profile pic.
Yeah,
and then some people say, "Oh, that's just a bot. Don't worry." I never really paid attention, but I started clicking on those, and and truly, they're like, it's basically haters that are just opening up some random account so they can say something, and not have because it has no follower. They're like no followers, no following, and it's like they're just there to say something and then move on. It's like. But that's a lot of effort. That's a lot of effort.
I don't know why people
want
to take the time to do that. I don't know.
So, but again, I think people have identified those and tried to block them out, and I just feel like it's been really good in the community lately. I still see it, even though again a lot of people bashed and said they walked away from Star Wars because of The Last Jedi. But I'm still seeing polls of like, what's your favorite Disney Star Wars movie? And Last Jedi's on the top every time. A lot of people like that movie. And I see a lot of people talking about how it's getting better and better every time I watch it. And so, I don't want to put a lot of time into this. I really don't. And in fact, I really didn't want to mention it, but I have to. Did you see the whole remake, The Last Jedi
pulled
thing?
Up just now,
okay.
Yeah. Because it was amusing.
So you did see? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't, because we didn't talk about that yet. And
I think it started really like last week.
I think it just this weekend. I think it was just. But the funniest part was Ryan Johnson. Did you see Ryan Johnson's reply?
Yeah, but did you see Seth Rogen?
Yes, and
That
Seth
was
Rogen's
hilarious because Seth Rogen's literally trying to like break it down,
really understand.
Be like, I'm confused here. Like you're trying to. You have an investor currently that will put $200 million, and like he's like trying to break it down. It's just funny.
Like so, you thought about you have to you know you have to get directors, and you get in the original cast. Like you're really getting the original cast to redo this. So it's like, but the person whoever was doing the account was so
it's very sincere
about well, not just that, but also very to the point about. Oh, we'll get permission, and we're gonna, the investors are gonna profit from this because it's gonna be really good, and I mean, to the point where I sound like they were pretty convinced that every actor would come back and redo a movie.
Redo the entire movie.
But it's funny because people are like, "Please, I want to see how bad a fan makes a Star Wars movie." It's like. It's true. I mean, it's like, how do you feel like you can make all? But Ryan Johnson, it was classic.
Was it please?
Yeah.
That would be I feel like that a fan. I'm surprised hasn't already done something like that. Like with just straight up remake the movie.
Yeah, with like nobody's
a shoestring budget.
Yeah, totally.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, I mean, and they could probably do a pretty good job with it these days,
It'd
but
take a while,
it would take a long time. But the fact that anybody out there, because let me just tell you that there's no, I mean, I'm not telling you what you don't already know, but just no way they would ever get the rights.
No.
For one, because $200 million to do a movie is one thing. But to have the rights, I mean, Disney paid $4 billion to have the rights to Star Wars. You're going to have to pay you'd have to buy it from Disney in order to make this movie. Meaning you'd have to probably put up $10 billion to buy the rights, which, anyway, it's not going to happen.
No.
So it's a little cute thing if you want to go read Twitter. Get a... Is remake The Last Jedi?
I think that's what it's called. Something like the Twitter account.
Remake, yeah. I haven't seen it in a few days, so I don't know where it's at. But and then one funny thing I saw, I just had to mention, Matt Martin, one of the story groups. Did you see where he tweeted a picture of Ryan Johnson on set of Last Jedi?
Oh, yeah.
With his
lobster vest.
Lobster vest.
Yeah.
And he said...
sweater vest.
Yeah, he said, Funko, would you please make a Funko Pop of Ryan Johnson in this sweater?
Yeah.
And Funko replied, it says, we're all over it. As long as we can get a confirmation. What did he say? He said something like
a permission to...
Yeah, I want to look it up real fast. But
That's awesome.
He said, as long as we... Funko replied to Matt Martin and said... As long as we can get a confirmation or something like that from Ryan John, they said at Ryan Johnson, and give me 1 second, I gotta look this up.
Well, I saw Matt Martin's tweet. I didn't see the Funko actually.
Oh yeah, here it is. Dear Funko, how about a director series Ryan Johnson lobster sweater pop? So because they have a director series of pops, I saw that. Yeah, so I saw one, Kevin Smith's in there, and then they just did one for James Wan, who's directing Aquaman. So there's the picture. Yeah. Right? The last series, like, Dear Funko Pop, how about a director series? And then Funko replied right away and said, into it, if Ryan Johnson is, just have him give us a shout. We would be honored to add him to the director series, even with that questionable sweater. The very next reply, Ryan Johnson in all caps. Shout. And then Funko replied and said, send us a DM and we will make this happen, and it will happen hard.
It's happening.
It is happening.
That's great.
And then Matt Martin replied and said, I guess I can retire from Twitter now.
Yeah.
With a little Alice.
Yeah. I'm done.
I mean, that is awesome. So
There you go.
you're gonna see it.
Good job.
I guarantee
Yeah,
you're gonna see
I'm gonna
that.
have to get that.
Yes, man, that's so cool. It's it's but that right there is the fun of Star Wars. You know, that's the fun part of Star Wars. People laughing and getting into that kind of stuff. And Ryan is so interactive with. I mean, he's so interactive,
and he's got a great sense of humor.
He
man.
does.
He knows all about. He's like the whole police thing for the remake. It's like, no, who else would do? Like,
Yeah, I know,
who else would do
right?
that? Maybe Mark Hamill. He's pretty.
Well, most
entertaining.
directors would throw a middle finger up.
Yeah,
You know,
or just not
but-
talk,
or just not say anything,
not be
yeah.
on social media. But Ryan Johnson's hilarious.
That's awesome. Okay, so last thing, I want to close this out by because last week when I had Rainey on, we talked about kind of our favorite things about the original trilogy, and he mentioned, you know what, I can't remember really. And we talked about so many things, but I think he mentioned Luke's journey. And we talked about the Force, and I mentioned the Force. I said,
Yeah,
the Force was kind of the. I mean, honestly, in all of Star Wars, really the idea of the Force
that's what makes it.
makes it for
unique.
me.
Yeah.
What draws me in the most.
Yeah.
That's why I'm I mentioned it too. I really love that Jedi era. Like I want to see Jedi. I want to see more of that interaction, more Jedis in the galaxy. That's why it's like I get the whole military conflict and political, but it's just I want more of that mystical force.
Yeah,
And of course, these standalones. That's what's so great about Rogue One. There's definitely mentions and hints of it, even though it's not centered around it. But
yeah,
the fact that she says, "May the Force be with you," the fact that Chirrut's in there and has a really good understanding of it and connection with it. Now, Solo, it's not in there at all. There's no mention of it. There is a mention in the book of Most Wanted. There's a little bit of talk of it, but again, it's that thing that he doesn't really know about or doesn't care, right?
yeah. Look, he doesn't believe in it.
Doesn't believe in it. Well, it's hard because at that point, again, it's so there is no one knows it really about it. I mean, they talk about it like a religion, basically, is what they kind of mention it as. But so let's quickly go through just throw out let's talk about the prequel era first. Like, what's your and it doesn't have to be necessarily movie related, but literally, what's your favorite part of the prequels and the time and all that stuff? Prequels.
I mean, yeah. If we're counting just all the stories, the Clone War era is the coolest era. I mean, it's 10 years of stories that we've got, like 5 years, it's kind of almost 6 years of stories out of it. But I love that because to me, you have everything. You do have that political stuff, which is good, and it's complex and it makes you think about it and all that, which I like. But you get the Mandalorians, you get Jedi, you get the Sith, you get other factions that we have never seen before, other planets. So when you really talk about exploring the galaxy and learning new aspects of the universe, like any franchise you should keep exploring and keep bringing new elements and seeing how far you can reach. I think the Clone War era is perfect for that, and especially the Clone Wars TV show, because that's really the only time you get to see the Clone Wars in its fullest. So like George Lucas and Dave Filoni, what they created in that show is great because it's not only is it beautifully animated and beautifully shot, but the stories and the culture that are introduced in that is great. Like I love learning about the Mandalorians because you only got a glimpse of them from other stories, like the Knights of the Old Republic games. But to have them, to see them fight, to see the battles, and literally have Jedi, Sith, and Mandalorians all in the same, fight there. That's great. I love that adventure. I love that sense of danger and conflict in that. And it's such a strong villain of Maul and Death Watch, and strong hero of Obi-Wan and Anakin going at it. Like it's got that. Like I love. So that's, to me, it's what makes any Star Wars is that obviously that morality tale, the good, the strong good, the strong bad, as Luke says. What does he say? Powerful dark, powerful light.
Yeah.
Like you get that in the story, and then the adventure, the magic, it's all there as well. So yeah, I love that era, and I love what that does to the franchise as a whole.
Yes, and I'll echo that. I'm really with you on that. Clone Wars is by far one of my favorite times, if not the favorite time, because like you said, there's so much battle, there's so much loss, and I feel like the Clone Wars series, it made us really care about the clones. I mean, they're not just soldiers. They all had different personalities. Rex is arguably one of the best characters ever created. It's and then like you said, it still has that Jedi mystical side of it, and that whole thing is still my favorite part. And I think I just think there's so many stories there. And then the thing about the Jedi, and you kind of made me just think about that, like you said, the big thing, I guess the one thing I am drawn to is I'm a big DC Comics guy too, so and you are too. It's like Jedis they're the superheroes of the galaxy, right? I mean, that's kind of what they are. And I always think about one of the, even though again a lot of people hated the movie, but one of the best scenes of the Batman versus Superman was in the beginning when the building's falling. Everybody's running away, but Batman is running into it. Yeah. And to me, that's Jedis. They're always running to the battle, and not running away. And it's heroic. And I love that about Star Wars. I love those aspects of it. So Clone Wars is that. I mean, they're going into battle.
That's what makes Anakin so great.
Absolutely.
Because he has no fear.
No.
and he succeeds most of the time,
Yeah. Okay, so fast forward to the Disney era now. What we've gotten in the Disney era, what has been your favorite part about it so far?
I mean, although we only have 4 movies now, but
and a series.
And that's right. Okay, so all the series,
books.
The Rebels is always great, but I'm most excited about just the sequel trilogy, just 79, because more so than any, maybe we'll see how it ends, but more so than any trilogy, I feel like is where it's headed. We're getting hopefully more knowledge of the Force and of the Jedi, like what Rey is bringing to the table. I'm very excited about her as a character, and Kylo Ren is to me the best written villain and one of the best written characters of Star Wars, because he's so well-rounded and so conflicted and so complex, and Adam Driver is phenomenal in how he performs. So I'm just glued to every single scene that he's in and his entire story. Like, I want to know all about his past and everything. So I'm most excited about what we're getting in 7, 8, and what we'll be getting in 9. Even though 8 has its pitfalls as a story, but what I always leave with that is Kylo and Rey, and their story together, especially Kylo's story. So, I hope that we just dive even deeper into the Force with 9. I hope that kind of continues that journey and that path. But 7 started off with such great adventure. That's currently my favorite movie right now because it's so much fun to watch. 8 was still fun, but it continued that story, so it still kept me going through there. But very excited for 9. So I think this sequel trilogy is by far my favorite part of the Disney saga.
Yeah, it's difficult for me.
It's in a fragile place right now.
It is a fragile place.
I get it.
I mean, right now, I would say my favorite part about if I could be pretty general, my favorite part of this new Disney era really is the fact that it's the fact that all of the stuff is connected.
Yeah,
That I can
canon.
read a book, read a comic, or listen to a book, watch a TV show, whatever, and I know that it's all related to each other. It's all has an impact on each other. Like you mentioned about with Maul showing up, it's like it truly is like they're making a point to make the animated series or anything connect to the films, and that's always been, when the EU was the EU, that was even my time then. That's even my thoughts then, was like, how cool is it that these stories continue?
Yeah.
Even though they technically weren't canon yet,
Yeah.
or deemed canon, but now we know they are. So I got to say, my favorite part is really that it is all connected, and I don't know if I'm sure it would still be important to me, but I'm not sure it would be that important if I knew that there were conflicts and continuity stories. You know what I mean? Like if books were just its own thing, you know what I mean, and not necessarily connected. I think it wouldn't be as special to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the fact that it is, the fact that I can, listen to a book like Most Wanted right now and then know that it's connected to the movie Solo when I go watch it, that is really, truly, I think it's an understated accomplishment that Kathleen and Story Group have done. And I think as we go on and have all this material, that we'll truly be able to see it all together, and all coincide with you. Because right now there's so many eras that they're throwing at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's filling in the gaps. Yeah. So eventually it's like, oh my gosh, here is the timeline, of things that happen, and I hope I'm around to experience all that, So, but that's probably my favorite part. Other than that, I would say it truly is, for me, it's different from you. It's actually the standalone movies, more so, because I feel like I've enjoyed them a little bit more, and I am totally sold into the fact that you can make these individual movies and tell those stories and to be really good. So,
yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the canon in the books, because that's how it felt with the old canon. Because I was trying my best to stay with those books, like all throughout middle school and high school. I read just as much as I could. So, nowhere near my buddy Adam, who I feel like has read every single Star Wars book. But I got through a lot of the books from post Jedi into the New Jedi Order. Like I read most of those books, but
yes,
but and then I have most of the New Jedi Order as a series, but I've only read like maybe half of them, because it's just got so daunting. So it's like, there's so many books I got to read, and then they still kept going even past New Jedi Order. And knowing ahead of time, like some of these books are awful, some of these books are good, and there's different so it's like, I'm going to eventually read one of these books that aren't too well. So I wasn't too motivated to keep going, but then as soon as like new canon, everything is clean slate, like, oh wow. So like you said, it's more special. It's everything matters just as much now to me as movies, books, TV shows. Like they're all on the same level, canon wise. So. And then starting fresh, so it's like, I can start fresh, and now like every book from here on out is super important. So I'm, way more motivated now to read them, because everybody's starting on the same level in terms of knowledge for Star Wars at this point. So it's not like I'm having to catch up anymore of 20 years of Star Wars books. It's like now it's fresh, and now it's 6 years almost now, I guess,
yes.
Right? So
yeah, true.
It is an exciting time.
It is. Okay, that'll do.
That'll do.
That'll do. Where was that? Oh, that's Shrek.
That's Shrek.
I was saying Shrek.
That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
Yeah. Very good. Sorry, that's not Disney affiliated. That's DreamWorks. But thanks for listening, everyone. We are Inside the Force, InsideTheForce.com. Go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Inside the Force. Give a shout out to our guys D House and Mike, who do the Jedi Trials. They're doing a great job promoting us, so we're obviously going to give that right back. If you guys are into Star Wars Destiny, which is a card game, tabletop game, go listen to them. They are experts. D House over there actually, I forgot to fail to mention, but he finished top 8 at the World Championships up in Minnesota this past May. So talk about knowledge and experience of that game. Go listen to those guys, the JediTrials.com. Go to we talked about it briefly for a couple weeks, but I'm trying to get an update on this short film that's coming out, the Odyssey film. Going to get the director on here soon, but go check that out. Get on Facebook and search Star Wars Odyssey. That short film will be out here shortly. And of course, Casey's Kryptonian 1138 on Twitter. I am D Cottingham21 on Twitter. And other than that, we will be back next week. Everybody, have a safe and happy 4th of July. If you don't get us before then, I'm sure we'll get an episode in after the 4th. So thanks for checking us out. Have a good week, everybody. For Casey Cooley.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
Nice.
Because I forgot, Lando is one of the rumored movies to come out.
That's true.
So
You're right.
we'll
Exactly right.
We'll see about that.
He was great. He was great.
Absolutely.
He was great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. He's Case.
See you, everybody.
I'm Dave, and may the Force be with you.
Thank you for listening to Inside the Force, a Star Wars podcast hosted by David Cottingham and Casey Cooley. For more shows, additional content, articles, and the latest Star Wars news, please visit InsideTheForce.com. Inside the Force. For the Force, then all of us.